Information security in the 21st century. Part 1. The topic of this lecture is information security. Ensuring information security in the 21st century has become a necessity for everyone, while in the 20th century it was the prerogative of the state services for radio war, radio intelligence. Why? The fact is that just during a decade of the new century, the production of mobile phones has swiftly increased. This technological explosion may be compared to the invention of the wheel. Can you imagine that within just a few years, maybe a decade, practically all people on Earth were equipped with mobile phones? It's appropriate to remember here the prophetic words of Leonardo da Vinci, who said more than 500 years ago that people in different continents would immediately share their hemispheres and communicate with each other. There are about 6 billion mobile phones in the world now. You will ask, why? Well, first of all, because it is convenient. Using a phone, you can connect to a person in any part of the world. There's even the possibility to conduct mobile video conferencing now. A lot of social networks are created in the Internet. Cloud technologies make it possible to store terabytes of information. Where may it lead to? People often forget about the security of information. Bob Kahn, the founder of the Internet, said it was impossible to create the secure Internet. But is it possible to create secure mobile communication? President George Bush said in the United States Congress that hackers could intercept any phone. In August this year, President Barack Obama stated that information security would be critical for the stability of the United States in the 21st century. When people buy a mobile phone or use the Internet, they do not think about their security. They mainly choose different gadgets, which look attractive and which are convenient to use and to work with. As for security, it's the factor they are interested in least of all. People start thinking about it only when they are in trouble. Probably that's why hackers make such huge profits and earn annually more than $400 billion. And every year, they almost double their incomes. In August 2012, the United States President Barack Obama gave a very good explanation to this situation. He said that when people go out of the house, they usually lock their doors. But when they use various information technologies, they forget about the necessity to protect their information. I can add the following to what he said. When people go out of the house, they lock the doors and put the key in their pockets. So the keys to the doors are always with them. They won't run to the nearest police station to store their keys. But who keeps the keys, the password to our information when we use mobile phones to enter social networks? Yes, moderators and network providers have them. Do they keep the keys safely? That is the cornerstone question, not only because information can be copied or stolen, but also because criminals can distort information to achieve their criminal goals. The consequences can be devastating on a personal level as well as on the state level. Here's an example: Stuxnet virus, which has recently appeared, caused serious damage to the Iranian nuclear program. How did it happen? The virus modified the information in the computers which controlled the centrifuges. They began to rotate faster, and as a result, failed. I can cite other examples. We know that every year more and more various electronic devices and sensors are used to monitor human vital functions. That is, a doctor can remotely monitor the health of a patient. Even injections are given remotely, for example, to people who have diabetes. But, on the other hand, it's necessary to determine whether the communication lines along which the commands are transmitted are protected or not. It turns out they are not. It's planned that soon about 3 trillion different sensors will be implanted in patients' bodies and connected with IP telephony systems. Will information transmitted by the sensors be protected? Any modification in it may be fatal for a patient. Here we face an important problem. Human life may depend on hacker intrusion. This is only one of the information threats in the 21st century. The same is true for mobile phones. Speech falsification is very dangerous. Here is an example. The pregnant wife of Prince William Catherine was at the hospital and got a phone call allegedly from the Queen of England. The paparazzi falsified the phone call and thus got the nurse to give them information on the Duchess's condition. Unfortunately, that incident had a tragic end. When the nurse learned she had been deceived, she committed suicide. This is not a single case. We can also remember the British soldiers who served in Afghanistan, fighting against the Mujahideen. When the soldiers called home in England, Mujahideen intercepted their phone calls and informed the families of the British Army soldiers and officers that their relative was killed or seriously injured. It caused enormous moral damage to the families of the military personnel. It also could end tragically for the families of British servicemen. In fact, the existence of the civilization depends on the extent of its trust to the information world. It became part of our everyday life. We cannot imagine our life without the Internet and mobile phones. The world of information. What is it, after all? What are the threats to information security? We know a lot, that information technologies are efficient and easy to use. But few people know what dangerous threats they pose to their users. So, the purpose of my short lectures is to explain, from the historical point of view, in particular, the effects of neglect for information security.